Yeah, it's a very wide subject,
Yeah.
gender and art.
Yeah. It's almost like human, because everything human is gender.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's almost talking about like Asian art back in the before the 80s. It was
Mm.
considered animal art, right? So it's like, oh, that.
It's classification.
Yeah, exactly. So gender, feminism, female made by woman. Oh,
Yeah.
ooh, I mute myself.
Yeah. Yeah. So the text. I will try to make a small introduction. The, so what when we look for art and gender, in general, what is going on the internet is the promotion of inclusivity of is inclusivity, that's right, or inclusiveness, inclusivity, yeah, thank you. And there's the promotion of inclusivity in contemporary art. They say it's growing, the women are more and more represented, and contemporary art is very good, and there's so much effort done, and it's very positive. So there's a lot of positive content. And then there's all about art history. So a selection of artists and a selection of artworks in the past that are representing like from the prehistoric time to the Mayas and different cultures and in the past, in the 19th century and all of that. They are talking about that, and then they're also making series of like anthologies of artists working on the subject, and that's really all. It seems that deepening into the subject is not something that is popular. Is not really, there are not really popular video digging into the subject of art and gender. In fact, it's like you go to school, you when you are 16 or something like that, and they tell you you will learn philosophy. And then, yeah, it's so cool. I will think and all. But no, it's not philosophy, it's history of philosophy. You are learning the past, and you're not really discussing it. You're not really thinking. Is just this is how it is, and that's all. And this is so cool. This is so. So this is the first point I want to tell about is the video, like what Mo did and what we did with a talk, is more like something that um, is more a subject that is talked about in academies, in schools, and research, and maybe in groups, but it's not something on social media or on the internet, not so much. And just to summarize what Kathy was telling, Kathy Crawford, she was telling, and this is to launch maybe the subject is, and this is something I really didn't think about in the past, is the distinction between sexuality and gender. And I would say maybe most of the people, they are like me, they would just tell, what? Is
You
there a
mean
difference?
sex and gender?
Yeah, yeah. No, sexuality and gender. Because, for example, there is art about there's art related to homosexuality that has been risen in the recent past, in the
That's not
20
what
last
Katie
year.
said. That's what my understanding. Yeah.
No, she told about there's a range of ways that gender
Is
no,
expressed.
there's a clear distinction to make between sexuality and gender. She told
Sex.
exactly that. No, sexuality.
I edited the video for 1 week.
Okay, but it's okay. So I don't know, because feminism is about gender, if I understand well, and homosexuality is about sexuality. And feminism is not really about sexual practice.
Yeah.
Can be. Can
Well,
encompass
it can.
it, but it's
Not
bigger.
necessarily. Yeah, it can. Yeah.
Yeah, and there are artists. So artists working with a subject of feminism or femininity are more about gender, and artists working with the idea of homosexuality or pansexuality or these terms are not. It's different things, completely different things.
Yeah, the vocabulary, the definition, the interpretation is different. But let's say it's a language thing. Like we were discussing that yesterday, it's a language thing. Because in Chinese, we have a distinction between what we call it gender minority, such as LGBTQ plus, that if you don't, we even say that there's a fourth love. So we say the first love is man dominant chasing woman. The second love is man chasing man. The third love is woman chasing woman. And the fourth love is woman dominant in a relationship. And we even separate that. So when we say gender minority is really like, if you're not male dominant in a heterosexual relationship, you fall into that box. And then we have feminism, which is translation is women's rights activists. And they are totally different from, they are the two separate subjects and they hardly cross ever in the Chinese language context. But in English, if you say art and gender, or, you say feminism, that can come with a lot of different things can fall under this basket.
Yeah.
I think that's where the confusion came.
Yeah. I don't know what you're thinking about, Esra or Anna, about the distinction.
I didn't see the video yet. I add in my watch list, but I didn't see it. So am I missing a lot?
No, not so much.
No. Yeah.
It's the idea of a distinction is, for example, I will throw you a stone. Because it's a bit aggressive. In art, there's the tradition of women making craft in contemporary art. So they in fact they are clustered, and in fact they by doing that they can it's feminist kind of, but in fact they are not questioning the status quo. They are contributing to solidifying things. Or they are more successful artists, feminine artists in contemporary art. They are related to craft. Craft is manual, so it's depreciated compared to conceptual art from manhood and all of that. Because you are doing craft related. What do you think about that?
I don't necessarily agree. Like, you can reclaim the action, basically. So it's not like you are doing that, you are embracing, you are repeating what is already cliche, what is generic. It's
Yes.
not deepening the definitions itself, because it is still about, you still have a discourse or narrative about it, and it is the exact thing, like female labor is so underestimated, female intellect is so overlooked, and
Yeah.
I will do it anyways. So the intention is not deepening what is status quo defined. It's just like ignoring and creating your narrative anyways. Like it is a form of storytelling, and in the history there were some techniques appeared and disappeared. So maybe in the like whole history of humanity, it's a small portion because it's like very Bauhaus driven ideologies. These things, like it is not even like applied all over the world. It is very European
Yes.
art theory way of thinking. This is craft, female. It's very gender. Like I call gender is more as a social structure, and sex is like sort of biological definitions
Yes.
and orientations and stuff like that. So I don't think it is like you should choose what you want to do in any scenario and just claim it, own it, instead of leaning into that box, playing like very
I,
feminine, like
I play the devil advocate. Huh? It's not my thinking. Is for example, I could say the same with Instagram. Most of the artists are using Instagram. I mean, artists, they should be a bit disruptive or at least creative. So the fact most of the women are using craft to succeed and most of the artists are using Instagram is ignoring. You could tell, oh, I'm using Instagram because I'm ignoring the status quo and I don't. It's just, I think, is a sheep effect that everybody goes to that. This is the norm. And maybe craft is a kind of norm. And for example, there is a video about a guy in Norway. I think it's Norway. I will give you the link. He's a street artist and is a guy. And in Spain there are many street artist women, but in North European North Europe of Europe there are less. And he's doing craft. He's taking the tools of women and he's doing embroidery and all these things, and he's doing it as a street art to try to change the things. So he's questioning it, and so I understand the idea of ignoring the system.
Yeah, but if you ignore it and do not address it, the battle is already lost.
Maybe not. Esra thinks not.
I want to talk about street art for a second because that's a highly gendered art form. And, you know, most street artists who work, they're the ones that I see in the United States and maybe some in Europe, it's a dangerous thing because it's illegal, you know, and you are doing dangerous things like climbing up on buildings and
graffiti
off of billboards and spraying and getting arrested. And therefore, most of the street artists that are popular are men, and they're young men because there's this testosterone thing. They're connected to the danger. There are some women, but it's a form of art, just like craft is more women, you know. It's so interesting. I have a problem with that. I'm upset about it, but also I think about like, why don't more young women go out and take these danger, like, because we're too smart, you know, like we don't want to vandalize buildings and, you know, and also physically, it's hard to do. You know, you're running from the police, you're doing these things, you're working at night. It's just a really interesting gendered art form. So I don't know what you guys think about that, but And the craft thing, like if you go to a craft store in the United States, 95% of the people in those stores are women. It's hardly ever men. There are these stores called Joann's and Michael's, and they're not art stores. They sell yarn, they sell buttons, they sell jewelry, beads, and things like this. It's almost all women. And at first it bugged me, and then I'm like, well, this is sort of a sanctuary. I think being smart about it, like being an intellectual and understanding how you're using your media is so important for the art. So you can be a crafter and just be doing it because you're getting together with friends and beading, or you can be somebody who's doing it in such a thoughtful way that it becomes an art form that should be in art galleries. So, but anyway, that's what I was thinking about just now in terms of that.
Yeah,
Any
I
thoughts?
totally agree. It's like street art is very, very gendered, but also about challenging the status quo. I don't know any good example in the history who's a single individual person who challenged status quo alone and succeed. So it's like I think no one
As an
is really.
artist, you mean?
Yes, it's just like people say it's like overused, over academic word now. Everyone like people are doing event design for Chanel and claiming it's challenging the status quo. So I think we
The
have to
perfume
redefine
called
what is
Rebel.
yeah, everyone is so rebellious
Yeah.
these days. So I don't know. I believe in political guidelines and standing points, and you can align with your art as much as you can. I don't think we have to invent new things to justify why we are doing what we are doing. Like if someone needs to do embroidery, I don't have to challenge status quo by myself. That's too much work. Like if you want to challenge status quo, like so many ways to do, like labor organizations. We need to unite to challenge status quo. It's just like really very oxymoron every time when I read people challenging status quo by themselves. It's just like, yeah, good work. I don't know, like what kind of also changing, institutional changing we are expecting from art world. It's like really hard, especially like what's happening in Palestine. We are seeing so many progressive art institutions are like standing in a very terrific position. So I think like challenging status quo is like challenging the art world the way how it's supposed to be. I don't think you can do so much about like painting alone in the street. I mean, you need to find like 100 more artists who do the same thing in an organized way and doing propaganda about it. Maybe then you can do it.
Yeah, good point. It's like you do, let's say, embroidery doesn't mean that you can or you cannot challenge status quo. There's no necessarily choosing the media necessarily has any relation with what you are challenging. That's true. In order to, let's say, turn what is against you in your way, let's say you want to get somewhere, but there are many layers of stigma likely stopping you as a female artist. For example, people can say, oh, so cliche doing knitting. Oh, she must have a rich husband. Oh, whatever. Okay, like there are many layers that can happen related with gender, with age and gender together. And I want to mention there is a remake of a series. I didn't watch the series, but I watched the trailer. It's an excellent example. The idea is there. It's called Matlock. So it's a elderly woman, retired lawyer, who re-entered the workforce for whatever reason, wanting to be rich or wanting to get ego or get somewhere. So she tries to go into a law firm, but obviously nobody recognized her. Nobody wanted to anything to do with her. And there is a age and gender bias in the workforce of elite law firms. So what she did is she pretended to be a harmless elderly lady, like cleaning lady. So she would be standing in the corner with a broom and listening and getting all the information like a spy. So the fact that if, let's say, you look ordinary and you don't look anything special, not beautiful, not amazing, then you're excellent spy. If you look amazing, you're excellent model. I mean, no matter how you look, you can always find a way to turn it in your favor, to say, you know what, this is great for me. Like people think I'm hot and must have a rich husband. You know what, that's great. That means I'm hot, right? You know, like just to say, right? So there's always a way to turn what's against you into what's for you. And that's the only way we can go somewhere, because we need to get all the forces, all the things turning in our favor in order to succeed. So maybe, you know, with what you're trying to do, at least people would assume if we are women and we do embroidery, normally people assume we made it. If I say, look, my work, people would assume I made it. People would not assume, oh, you bought it or you hired someone to make it. There are many times I give some small crafts from China and I say, oh, it's, I brought you some gift. And everybody told me, oh, you made it? It's so nice. I'm like, do I look like I made it? But then I realized, you know what? Yes, I made it. Like, it's just like an example of how cliche can work amazingly sometimes.
I think that in the United States right now, we're about to have this huge social experiment, because all of the ideas about feminism, along with diversity, is being crushed, and it's real. I'm connected to a college, and we are being told, take down posters that say this is a safe space. The government is reaching down to tiny little colleges, making everyone afraid. And gender, like feminist studies, women's studies, Black studies, all of these different departments in universities are going to disappear until Trump is gone. And it's going to be really interesting to see who rebels against this. Will the artists be strong enough? Will we think that we're protected enough? Can we show our work if we are making work that fights this? And like right now, I'm making some feminist work. As a feminist, which I always tell people, I'm a feminist. I don't always make feminist work. I do a lot of different kinds of artwork, but some work is specifically addressing feminist, ideas. And my work right now, I cannot show it here where I live. And I'm trying to find other places to show it. But here, because I'm involved in politics, but also because I'm in a red place, people will not be able to handle it. They won't. And it's sad. It's really like, am I afraid to show it? Or do I just think it's useless? It's just useless to show it,
The chilling effect.
Yeah, the chilling effect. That's censorship. That's my PhD subject. I'm so passionate. Welcome to the club of like experiencing censorship. Yeah, I want to still try to look at it in a way as how can we use this as an opportunity, although in the shittest, let's say, conditions. Because Greg always tell me, always use what's against you as your advantage. So I feel that when there was some kind of diversity feminism movement, many people suddenly they're like, oh, you know what? I'm a feminist. They don't even know how feminist spells. They're like, I'm a feminist, and I'm like, but you're a white male. And he's like, oh, I remember there was a London artist in China, and he's like, you don't know how lucky you are. I'm like, what? And he's like, oh, you know, a racial minority woman. There are many museums will collect you instead of me. I'm like, but I'm not even an artist. And he's like, never mind, you know, like, oh, I'm a white male. I'm in the worst position ever. Anyway, you know, like, so in the past, when feminism was encouraged, everybody was a feminist and it became so cliche. But now, when it's harsh, then whoever stays in this basket will be diehard feminists. And that shows who is there for real, who is the real deal.
Yeah, that's an optimistic way of looking at it.
Yeah.
I mean, I was interested in your professor in the thing. She said there's progress and there's change, you know. So
Yes.
I like that a lot, you know. And I think in terms of the history of art, there has been progress because when I look at older textbooks, you know, the big ones, like because I used to teach, you know, art history, the big survey classes. In the beginning, and when I was in school 40 years ago, there were almost no female artists in that entire thick 4-inch book. There was nothing. Even Artemisia Gentileschi was not discovered yet. You know, it had the history hadn't been rewritten and the canon been changed. But by the time that I started teaching, the book comes out, you know, every year. There were artists that were inserted back into art history. You know, they had discovered them or rediscovered them or, you know, realized, oh yeah, all these paintings that were attributed to her father were actually her. Or, you know, the French Revolution, you know, there were artists that were women that were, you know, important. And I don't think that that is going to be rewritten. Once it's in that history, I think that it's there. So I think that that's progress. But other things definitely, you know, the gender studies, all that stuff is going to be taken away right now. That's change that's going to be changed back, at least for now.
But do you think it is like directly correlated, like since 80s maybe in the States, academy, social studies were much more Marxist. They had Marxist tendencies, and after 2000, there are like so many identity politics involved, especially in the States. Just before 1 year ago, identity studies were like overloaded to the point like people left start complaining about class war, bigger culture war, and right wing we were like exposing this idea a lot. White man is the worst position in the States so far. There were memes, but apparently it's a strong ideology, you know, like we were the weakest chain in the to be collected, and it's, I don't know, it takes just 10 years, maybe less, and they immediately freaked out, and now we are already losing all the, not all, but like we are losing some position. Do you think it is like very, very correlated? There is like dialogue between that two groups, or it is like secondary aspect that how Trump politics win? Because Trump spoke with these white men so
Aggrieved, yeah,
well.
the aggrieved white men. I mean, you know, I don't know. It may your thinking is so deep in terms of, you know, this understanding. Yeah, there's definitely it's a reaction. It's a reaction. And it, you know, the white men were right. They were not getting shows. They're still not getting shows. If you go to museums and well, museums, let's say museums, you're going to see a lot of everybody else except white men. But if you go to the big galleries, you're still going to see the white men because those are still the capitalistic system is still supporting mainly white men. It's just, I think I'm hoping that it is progress. And I'm like I'm trying to be like, let's rewrite this story to take everybody's account in, and I'm tired of only seeing the white men history, the white men reflected. But I don't know. I don't know. And to your bigger point, Esra, it's just fighting. I mean, maybe Trump is doing us a favor in terms of what Mo is saying, and that, you know, he's making it more difficult again for all of the different voices to be heard. The art world is fighting back now, but when their funding's cut, they will cave. They will, just like everybody else.
But if the movement was based on fundings in the first place, it was never meant to be a sustainable movement. That's what I believe.
So do you think that we're just all screwed? Like,
No, like, how can I say? It's almost like, how can I say? It's almost like if you seduce a child to believe in something, maybe a religion, a political initiative, with candies. The moment you stop the candy, the child will not listen because it's based on luring, right? But if it's based on true beliefs, they would die, they would bleed all over, and they would fight back.
So how do you feel? Well, what's the situation in China, for example? You know, like, are minority
In
voices—
China, we say, we have a very good saying in terms of in the Chinese language, in the modern society, we say, gender is not biology, is not female. Like female is not a gender, it's not a sex, it's not a biological categorization. It is a social class. So you have men.
That's what we say as well.
Oh, really? Oh,
You
in
are
French?
mixing gender and sex. No, gender is like Esra was saying, gender
No,
is
sex,
societal.
gender, female. Female is not a biological definition. Female is a social class. When you are so poor, you are voiceless, you have no power, you are crushed, just like a woman, right? So we can have strong women who rule and dominate, like Empress Wu Zetian. I'm just saying, like, joke. But yeah, you can have strong, powerful women who control power, like economy, political power, industrial power. And when you have power, you have the social status of men. Therefore, you are a man. And just yesterday, I was telling Greg, in Chinese, when you have a great master, of a poet, of a writer, of a great artist, let's say Picasso great, like as a status, like a very famous great, or maybe not Picasso great, like Anish Kapoor, kind of like a Sir Anish Kapoor, this kind of great.
Yeah, all like, the macho toxic men.
Recognized great, okay? Or like, I'm just using this as an example. So when you have that level, like when you are damned, like with a sword, this. So when you have that, we call those kind of artists, female artists, we call them monsieur, as my sir, mister. So for us, if you are great, you are dominating the trade, whatever trade you are in, you are a man. If you are very shitty in what you do, no matter how manly testosterone you have, you are a female. So it's based on elitist excellence.
Mm-hmm.
And people don't believe me when I say the reason I'm doing my PhD is because I don't want to be called senora or madame. I want to be called a doctor so that I'm gender neutral. It's my way of getting out of this basket of gender glass ceiling or whatever. But there are other ways to be called monsieur when you are painting great art. And so for us, the gender is not really the fight. The fight is now the social class, because we have a big division in the gap.
Yes, but like how we can not reproduce or deepening this binarism in our daily actions. Actually, it is like,
yeah, I have a way.
Like, if I'm doing already what is expected from me, am I deepening that binarism, or should we fight against in the first place? Why embroidery is considered feminine? Should we degender actions, or should we change our actions?
Very good
Big
question.
question, sorry, Mo.
It's a big question. So I think in more like double-blind peer review system of academia. So when you submit, let's say, an article to a journal, so all the academic journals that are classified in the list, the official, the normal ones, okay, we're not talking about the tricky ones or the corrupted ones or the fake ones, the real ones. There is a system of removing all the names from your paper and then have two individuals without knowing who you are. So that's called blind peer review. So the peers are like the fellow scholars will look at your article and then give you a green light or yellow light to modify or red light to reject, to judge your paper. So I believe in, let's say, maybe museum shows needs to have juries that will not know whose artworks, that will not know the gender of such.
Good luck. One of the primary value in the art world is provenance. It's not.
Yes, I know, but that's why I
So
said
it doesn't
museum.
work.
I don't say gallery. Gallery is your private money. You spend how you want, okay?
Yeah.
You want to buy a cat, I don't force you to buy a dog. But we're talking about museum, that is public money. Public money,
Yeah, but it's the same
if
system.
women and men pay the same amount of taxes, then where are my rights and chances, right? So, or give me a
Usually
tax
there are
rebate.
public museums.
Not every museums do, I think. Like they can acquire based on
From out, because we trust museum institutions so much, we miss how not public, how private they are sometimes. Like not, I
Yeah.
guess in
not
Spain or
transparent.
UK, but in Italy they are not public. They are maximum semi-public, and you pay a lot
Yeah.
when you enter, and they have all the control. They have their own boarding. There's not so much interruption. Maximum they do some educational public programs. That's what they do. But I mean, in like, at least it could be a proposal for like as best practice how an art institution should behave. Like there are some prestigious competitions. I think they remove the name.
Yeah, there are
In
some
architecture world,
competitions.
it's more democratic. Architectural competitions is extremely unethical to, unless you are invited as a studio to participate. There are better way to judge it. Yeah, provenance is already all the prejudice about you is so open and vulnerable in the art world.
Also with language, like you going back to your previous question, how to improve the situation, I think is through language. For example, in Spanish, in Latin language, there is gender, right? So you have a cat, you have a female cat or male cat, there's a different word. But in Chinese, there's no gender, no article, no, the way to say a gato or una gata. No, we don't have that. Even when you say he or she, by the pronunciation, it's the same, unless you write it down. Many
Yeah,
people
there is
think
no
I was a
gender.
man until I pick up the phone and I say hello, and they're like, "Oh, I thought Mo is a man, like Mohammed, right?"
That helps a
So
lot.
that could
It
help.
helps.
But for what I do, I don't think I never had the benefit, because when I publish a paper, it's blind peer reviewed anyway. But I believe in using gender neutral words for everybody. Like how in academia, when I did a text review of someone's book, oh, this person wrote this book, and I think, this person should have mentioned this, or, oh, it's great that she mentioned that. And I published 3 book reviews. And when I first wrote a book review, I realized that they were asking me inclusive language. And I'm like, what do you mean inclusive? I mean, I don't swear. That's as inclusive. I was thinking about the 18 adults inclusiveness, like children can read it and don't get offended when I say BS or bullshit, right? Like then I realized they were talking about gender. I shouldn't say the writer, she wrote this. I should say the author. The author, I always have to use the author, and I should never mention the gender of the author. the sex, the gender, the whatever that, even she
Because-
said is he or they or it's the same, I cannot mention. So that is a very good thing to borrow from academia, is to desensitize and just remove the she and he. And the fact that I'm right now looking at the list of female artist books, for example, We Are Artists, Women Who Made Their Mark on the World, The History of Art Without Men, How Not to Exclude Artists' Mothers, Street Art by Women, Great Women Artists, to just name 5. Just to say, it's like, oh, you are really afraid people don't know you're a woman? It's like, if you want a fair chance, don't play the woman card. Because if you're getting the fundings and pulling out the woman card, like pity me, I'm a woman mother, like, no, I mean, gender neutral. I'm a it. I'm a table. I'm a propeller of a helicopter. Like
Okay.
that's my point of view. What do you think?
I'm not agreed. I think until we fix the problem, which doesn't seem possible in the system, until without equality, it's impossible to have the equal chance. So we are living in the system that favors man author. So I don't think there's any problem to get funding because you are a woman. Like I think any disadvantaged groups deserve better chance, better opportunities. Otherwise, the system is already functioning well. Like ignoring that disadvantage of artists, it is already functioning well in that way. So I think it's not like everyone mentions their special conditions. It's like they are victimizing themselves. It is like as long as it's good with the structured resisting and opposing
I think here in the United States, the structure, the young people who are coming up, so many of them do understand that gender is on a spectrum and they're using they. And you absolutely go into an art school now and you're looking at the kids and you have no idea what gender they are. And they like it that way. And even though Trump is going back and saying, nope, it's going to be he and she, I think the horse is out of the stable or whatever, it's not going to go back because there are just too many people, young people here who are not he or she anymore. And especially artists, they're very much taking risks.
Yeah.
Can I tell something about that? Is so you were telling first about the street artist and the danger, and the fact is it's a macho place. And so first, street artists, most of them, they are domesticated and they work for the government. And what you were telling, I think, is more like graffiti artists, the people from the gangs, and they are not making money for that. It's a tribe thing. It's a tribal thing. It's illegal. Most of the artists right now, they are making the street artists. They are making big contracts with the cities, and they are working hand by hand with the firms and all of that. And still, there are many men among them, because maybe the tradition, I don't know. So there's one thing is so gender is about biology. So wait, gender is about I mixed. Help me, Esra.
social construct.
Gender is
Yes,
self-expression.
gender is a social construct.
Is societal and yeah, sexuality is So the fact is, and I lost my point. Biologically, for the survival of a species, of a humanity, we need the distinction. Because men, because it's chemical process. Biology is like chemistry. You can have, if you put a tribe of 10 men and 1 woman, and a group of 10 women and 1 man, after a few generations, the group of 10 women and 1 man, they win. Because men are expendable. We are expendable, and we build more muscle, more testosterone, we are more all of that. And this is biological, and this is scientifically proved. I think that you just need one man for the perpetuation of the species, but you need more women, and that's why for human people they are sending men, and with evolution, men have been proved to be fighters and hunters, and with a shorter life, and women more keeping the babies because biologically they are making them. Then there's something about the future and the uncertainty of what we are living now is what we are talking about is a lot is environmental collapse, and so climate change, resource depletion, energy crisis, and the Western society is highly conceptual, because first the economy is conceptual. We are always giving the answer with money, while it's about resources. We say, for example, Gaza, we send millions. Ukraine, we send money. We help them, but no, they don't need money. They are dying. Their body, they are taking death toll, and they are really dying for real. And it's not money saving them. It's highly conceptual, but the resources are real. And the thing is, the connection between equity and equality is highly related to the resources of the governments, of the societies. If you eat very well and you have slaves, or let's say slaves, machine, we have machine working for us. Before it was slavery, but now it's machine. So you have all the resources, you have the time to think, and the society can think about equality, and the things are going better. When the resources are going down, then patriarchy and is coming back. So because the male are the more primitive, and they are coming back, it's almost chemical. So if you want to solve that, knowing that the resources, there's no way. Let's say AI system, they found system to take more fossil fuel, to combine, to find solution to postpone the depletion of resources, but it's coming. And for example, in Europe, it has been told, there are many researchers by foundations, scientific foundation, they say by 2030, so in 5 years, Europe will have 30% less fossil fuel consumption. 30% less. That means 30% less use of trucks, 30% less food, because food is using fossil fuel to grow the plants and all of that, to bring everything is
Replaced
what?
with electric machines.
Electric machine is using fossil fuel,
Yeah.
especially in
I
Germany.
think Europe doesn't see as its own problem. I think they are just importing or trying to beat China.
Yeah, the
I
thing
don't
is,
think like it is
Europe is highly conceptual, and they don't find pragmatic solution for now. They are lost, and so, but it will be hard. It will be harder the next years and the next years. And the idea, so there's a writer, there's a French writer. She's her name is a PhD. I lost the name. So she's telling that the idea is not to find solution in ideology. If you want to keep the place of a woman as it is in the society, because she tells it won't change for good. When the depletion is coming, patriarchy is coming back. So she's telling that the idea is to take care of the resources, how it works, and to put women in places where things are decided. Because when you decide how the energy is used, then you can choose, you can find the solution or to bring equity or equality between genders. And so because she's telling that because hospitals also if you have medical regression, and it's happening in France, it's happening in Europe, the hospitals are going lowered in quality, the service, and things are difficult. So, and the most impacted are the women, because when you are giving birth, you need a hospital. Men, okay, there's a wound, okay. Even if there's no hospital, yeah. So the women, they need that. It's for humanity, and so they are the first impacted. So what they need, what we need, is not ideology, is not symbolism, and that's the problem. Is art is highly there. What we need is practical solutions and how to use the energy. While artists, they are just thinking about individual success. And it's what you told Esra, what you need to do is unity to make a change. And also they are staying in like at the academia, in a kind of sophisticated conceptual world, when the ground is, the reality is there. And the advantage of Trump is he's talking real. He has some symbol also, but is very, how to say, is very simple. And most of the people today, I would say, if you ask in the street, they don't see the difference between gender and
Sex.
sexuality and sex. There's yeah. So it's so complex that you cannot make academia or even something to raise awareness from an artist, an exhibition, to change their mind. They don't care. What they want is the solution, is
They want
how they
sex.
can
They want
eat
to get
the evening.
laid.
Yeah, no, but so the symbolism and the sophistication is enemy of what is going on with feminism, with the problem for femininity and gender norms. And the idea also, and I finish with this because I'm telling a very long
You're
stuff, is
mansplaining
the
a little bit.
purposeless. So there's this tradition from that the art shouldn't have any purpose. It's art for art, and this is also something that I think will have a tendency to be completely irrelevant in the future.
Art is recreational like sex today, doesn't have much purpose, doesn't make results. And
No, I
that is a
shut my
problem
mouth.
in China. That is a problem in China. Like you mentioned, oh, how is China doing? China is having a problem, is that there are not enough babies being born. Well,
Yeah.
because we have a big base, so even if we don't have, it's not a big problem at the moment, and not even in the next 70 years, but it's a problem with the inverted triangle in demographia. So there are very many old people, not enough young people, and we cannot import people from outside because they are not whoever we import cannot learn our language to be able to actually work in China. Because it took me 12 years as a Chinese, every day 3-4 hours to learn Chinese. If you import a Vietnamese worker or a Philippine nanny, they will not be able to carry out their work fully. So that is a problem. And we need now to encourage women to have unprotected sex. Even the government is even telling, you know what, go, go have sex with a neighbor. Oh, better sperm count, great. Like there's no the religious kind of boundary of extramarital sex is totally encouraged.
It's
Yeah.
encouraged because, like, in any government in the world right now, they all want control over female body. That,
Yeah.
like, now they are
Yeah.
in Turkey, they are canceling cesarean.
Design.
It is not
C-section.
natural,
Mhm.
and it is so promoted by football teams. It's unbelievable how football teams carrying like the natural birth is better, like a pancart like that. It's so absurd, but I have to make a point about this science wash
Yes.
ideologies, because it goes like in extreme like far right racism. There's like scientifically it is like that. It is biology.
Yes.
It is, yes, sure, it is biology. We get that. But the actual feminist ideology promotes cultural evolution of humanity must overcome biology. Like that's what we should agree on. We cannot
Yeah, this is very Christian. We
rely.
are above nature.
Yeah, well, C-section.
Yeah, exactly. What is natural? Like we, our lips is there to eat food, no? Not, but we are speaking, we are kissing. Like we are already doing so many unnatural things. So when it comes to creating this anti-feminist discourse, like immediately science comes. I just
Yeah.
don't like that aspect.
And men can have give birth already.
Yeah, yeah. In Turkey now, feminists are saying men are free to choose the way they want to give a birth. Like, it's so. I mean, I agreed. Like when there are limited resource, it's just far right rises, and it becomes like this Mormonism, feminine energy, this new wave of masculinity.
Far right, or far left. Extreme.
As well,
Doesn't
yeah.
have to be right.
Or wrong, far wrong.
Far wrong. Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys,
yeah.
I have to go. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay.
It's really very interesting. And let's keep on
Thank you.
talking about these things. I
Yeah, if
appreciate you all very much.
And if you coming into some sort of female gender art exhibition, discourse, show, also like maybe take some photo, let me know. I'm right now putting together more content on this same subject.
Great,
Yeah.
great, great. See you
Thank
next
you.
time.
Yeah, I'm
Thank
looking
you, Anna.
Thank you.
I need to catch someone. So see
Okay.
you in the next one.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Ciao,
Yeah.
ciao.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye. Ciao, ciao, ciao.